Good morning. This is Vance, and this is Thursday, April the 6th, 2017. And these are the CL trades for today using the slow hand method for price action. Got yesterday up here. I didn't do a video yesterday. For a couple of reasons. The first reason is that I wasn't around here for this. I was gone for early in the afternoon. I was only here till about noon. I had some things to do. But more importantly, yesterday was, of course, the DOE report. And as you've heard me say many times, before 10 o'clock or right after 9, from about 9:30 to 10:30, the first hour before the DOE report, market typically tightens up quite a bit. There's really not a lot of movement. And then when the report comes up, this is it right here. You can see 10:30, we had this big decline. Market gets really choppy. And all this movement, by the way, this is 10:30 right to here. And right to here, this is like in 10 minutes. You have this, these swings back and forth of about 20 ticks. It's really like a spike in channel, but by the time things settle out, you're not really sure where, by the time things kind of calm down a bit. And here, 11 o'clock, there's really, there's only a couple of shorts here that I saw. And even at that, it can be kind of jittery. So, that's a half hour after the DOE report comes up. So that's where the difficulty is. Really, there was a short here you could take a look at based on this, this trend channel that's heading down. Another one down here. We got the top of the channel, but again, these are, I don't know about this one, maybe an aggressive trade. This is a little bit better because you can see it's maybe rotating a bit. It's a little bit more of a tighter channel, and maybe you're looking at another measured move down here. And so that's perhaps a place to go short. It took a while to work out. When it gets to the bottom, you have this overlap and it goes a little bit further. Down here, second entry long, at the bottom of this channel, close to the low at the time was the low of the day. Maybe a kind of aggressive trade, but this is, we're looking at almost 11:30 here. It does rotate back up. Kind of half expected maybe prices to come back and retest the beginning area, but again, it moves up and then kind of rotates over of roughly 15 ticks. Maybe a little more, 15, maybe 20 ticks until the end of the day, and then kind of fell off. So, there's really only a couple trades here, and even at that, this one is, it's kind of a downward trend, but it's a downward trend coming off the DOE report, and whether or not you really take those kinds of trades with this back and forth motion, it's really kind of a slow. It's not really a strong trend. It's a trend with some pullbacks. So we do have some lower highs through here, some lower lows through this the bottom area. So it is a trend, but you have to be really cautious about taking trades in this area. Either long or short. Not saying that you couldn't, but certainly this is something to kind of keep in mind. And anyway, that's for the DOE day. That's on Wednesday, and Wednesdays historically are like that. So you might want to consider whether you even take trades like this early in the morning, because let me give you this idea. This is the opening right here at 9 o'clock, and you can see, look how tight this range is until the DOE report comes out. So it's really only about 20 ticks, like somewhere from that open, and it doesn't really get above the overnight high. It kind of rotates over. It does kind of poke through a little bit, but now we're talking about, this is 1026 right here, 27. There's no really way. On a regular day, you might take a short here, but you see what happens. It just falls out of bed when the 10:30 report comes out. And was there any reason to this decline? Was that justified by what the numbers said? I don't know. You have to take a look at the numbers, I guess. I'm not a news trader. Certainly I can. I don't trade based on the news. I want to be in a position to maybe take advantage of whether it's bearish or bullish. If there's room, but I seldom hold through the news unless I've got a pretty wide gap, and movement prior to the news isn't going to be, historically is not, you're going to be usually very wide. And so even if you got in on a trade like this long, by the time the news comes out, so there's got to be a question. You have to really reevaluate how well you do on the Wednesdays. Keep records for it. Keep your journals. See how you perform specifically on Wednesdays as it approaches the news. Try not to guess. Try to see how well you trade that news area. If you're on top of it and you seem to trade pretty well, then by all means go ahead. But if not, then you're going to have to really kind of examine that, self-examine how you trade these particular areas. Forget about how anybody else trades it. Focus on how you trade the news and see if you actually have an edge. And the only way you can do that is by practice. There's a problem with that, though. There's only news once a week, usually. The DOE report comes out 10:30 Eastern Standard Time every Wednesday. And so how many days you have to kind of be in the market? Like 50? Like a whole year of this before you can get some feeling for it? 25? I don't know. And does that give you enough of a sample to be confident going into it? So that's something to keep in mind. But let's talk about today. So this is, I'll just give you a quick overview about this morning. We're looking at, price for, from yesterday. It's really at the same level of where, prior to the news. I mean, this is the high. The high of the day is 51.52. So we're above $50. The rotation, the low of the day was 50.77, about touched the area where it was yesterday, 50.74. So, 70 cents. The high has already been 51.52. So we have 75 cents rotation over the overnight. How are we going to look at it for today? Well, there's a couple of things. Obviously you can look at it two ways. Either prices are going to continue to go up or it's going to turn around and come back down from this particular juncture. So if you're looking at it, what's the likes in this area? So prices from here are going to continue to move up, or they're going to turn around and they're going to find some resistance and they're going to head down and maybe retest these areas. So where's your natural area? Well, I would suspect that this is your target for the low. And where's your target for the high? Well, it has to reach a high up to this area. This is 51.88. This was yesterday's high. Is price going to go up and retest this area? So we're really almost kind of smack in the middle. Now, considering it the overnight, the context of the trade is up. But if you look at yesterday afternoon, this is where the level was, which is the high from 2 days ago, was about 51.30. So this is really the idea of how prices are going to respond to this area. Now, we're right at 8:30. We've got a half an hour to the open. The only way to really look at it, as things come closer to the open, we're going to have more volume come in up until 9 o'clock. And so that might give you a hint of which way to go. But 9 o'clock, the 9 is the most important number. So up until then, we're going to have to take a look at how prices settle out at this point in time. This is the high of the day. If price comes up here and kind of pulls its way back down here, you have to take a look at maybe entering lower around this area if it really bounces it here, or looking at shorting up here if prices bounce here. Keeping in mind that we're going to be looking at a 15-tick rotation either way because we've already had it. So let me just kind of clear this off for a second. And so if you look at it, if we look at this, if this is what develops as at the top of a range or like a range here, this is like the rotation. Now, the other thing is that we already have, this is a first entry pullback. This is a second entry long right here. So here's a second entry long. But again, it's 8:30. If you were to take a long right here, you could take it on a pullback. Do you have enough room to get out? Well, not quite. So you have to, it really has to retest the other side of what we've put in as far as this channel is concerned before prices come off. Now, if we look at a good setup bar, if this is the bottom right here, have we already bounced at this area? Hard to say. Can't really say now. Because you have to realize that when prices do open at 9 o'clock, we can have a push down, take out your 15 ticks very easily. So I'm looking at anywhere, if I'm taking a trade, I'm going to limit in here for a sell or limit in here for a buy someplace, as long as my stop gives me enough of a cushion. Now, at this point, I don't know. I think it's kind of early. So I'm going to wait until as we get closer to 9 o'clock before I make a decision of whether I'm going to long, short, or just wait until the open comes through if it's not clear at this point in time. And so those are the two scenarios. So the first scenario one, we come back and retest the overnight low or the low of the day yesterday. Scenario two, prices go up and try to make an assault on 51.88, which was yesterday's high. And this is what we're sitting with now. Anyway, this is Vance. Take a look at it later, see how things transpired. Bye for now.